Let me tell you about the entire history of Hearthstone Battlegrounds from its release up until the point right now that I'm making this video. It honestly still feels like just yesterday when this game mode was released within Hearthstone, but it's been around already for years, so let's take a brief look at how everything went. The first closed beta when people got to try out Hearthstone Battlegrounds was at BlizzCon 2019. This patch was November 5th. Of 2019, and that was quickly followed up with the open beta where everyone got to try it out. That was November 11th, and the meta back then was very different. It was all about building a big board, mostly with mechs and junk bots, and it was a wild west. There was no way to play like perfectly yet. There was no like big streamers breaking the meta. It was just fun mostly, and just picking cards that are big. Then by the end of the year of 2019, we see another patch, which was a big data patch for Descent of Dragons, a new expansion, and added new heroes like Edwin, Sylvanas, Rafam. Most importantly, it was a bunch of balance changes, and we also got Begurgle and Floating Watcher added to the game. Then over the next coming months, there's a bunch of more balance changes, but the meta stays relatively the same, just buying big cards, no explosive scaling, and people figuring out how to properly play the game and how to level and stuff like that. There were also some really interesting quality of life changes that, I mean, some of the OGs probably still remember, where you now have to wait 3 rounds to face either the same opponent or the ghost again. The poison animation, which took literally light years, was turned down. There was less screen shake, and also it had like this animation for when you summon minions. The snoring animation is what they got rid of. Followed up with a really big patch, 16.4, which added a new type to Battlegrounds. The first tribe that we got, which was dragons. This was February of 2020. With that are a bunch of new minions, of course, and also new heroes. We got Galakrond, Deathwing, Ysera, Nosdormu, Malygos. All of these are obviously dragon heroes, and also Reno Jackson, which, I mean, Reno can turn into a dragon apparently, and then the whole old school dragon tribe. They also took out a lot of minions which are not in the game anymore. They haven't come back. These are Shielded Minibot, Anoyotron, Mounted Raptor, Phalanx Commander, Psychotron, Turtulon Shellraiser, Piloted Sky Golem, Festerwood Hulk, Boogie Monster, and Sated Trashadon. All of these names have not been appearing in the game for like over 3 years now. A lot of other interesting changes that still affect the game to this day is that they sped up animations by a lot, from 0.8 seconds to 0.2 seconds. And of course, as always, a bunch of other random bug fixes and balance changes over the coming months. Then on March of 2020, we also got the perk system. So then you had to spend $20 or 2,500 gold. So you got 4 arena tickets with it. I don't know why there's arena mixed in, but sure. And the advanced stats and visual emotes, and the 2 extra hero slots to unlock in Battlegrounds. Then the following month we get new hero Illidan, and also Cobalt Guardian is now removed from the game and replaced with good old Deflectobot, which is still the key piece from Max to this day. Then another new minion, Rabbit Sorolisk, new heroes like Lady Vash, Maiev, and Kaltas. Direwolf gets nuked. Followed up with the second tribe being introduced into Battlegrounds on June 2020, that is Pirates. With this also we finally see the rotation system coming into Battlegrounds, where there's tribes missing from the lobby, because we have now 6 tribes, so every game there's 1 random tribe not included. With Pirates come the new pirate heroes, Eudora, Hooktusk, and Sky Captain Crag, on top of the whole pirate tribe, including a card called Arcane Cannon, which I think some people will have PTSD from, just like the boats, you know, yep, boats. And they also finally took out Holy Mackerel, which was one of the most toxic cards back in the day, allowing the first kind of like Exodia compositions to be very oppressive. The following month we're getting new hero Taz Greymane, and also new minion Amalgadon, which again is gonna bring back a lot of memories. Mostly painful ones, I assume. Later that same month, we also get Bigglesworth and Menagerie Mug and Jug added to the pool, which replaced both Zubot and the Menagerie Magician. Then believe it or not, but in August 2020, they finally took out Gentle Megasaur. Yes, it took that long. Megasaur is gone from the game, and so is Arcane Cannon. Obviously, there's a lot of changes going on again, balance changes. Most noteworthy is that Nat Pagel, instead of summoning a chest that is gonna summon a random golem minion, which can lead to some stupid things happening, now it just gives you a minion in your hand whenever it attacks and kills a minion. September, we are getting Lord Barov, Jendis Barov, and Omu into the pool, and also a new minion, Micromummy, which will replace Mekaru on tier 1. This is also the first time that we're getting parties in Battlegrounds, so you can invite people for private lobbies, which led to a lot more problems with cheating in Battlegrounds and the MMR system being exploited, but that was later resolved and fixed. And up until this day, those changes still affect how players play right now. We don't see any duo queues really happen in high ranks, for example, because it's not worth it. And most importantly, this is the elemental tribe being added to the game. So we're getting all of the new elementals on top of a bunch of new elemental heroes such as Ragnaros, Shambhala, Rakanishu, and Alakir the Windlord. This is also the first time where I think they're doing a Battlegrounds reset. So the external rating is being reset and they're introducing a new progression system. Again, with this entire new system, there was an exploit where you could concede a bunch of ranks because you have rank floors. I made an entire video on it again, but this was later resolved as well. Patch 18.4.2, which is still October of 2020, we see Barthenotron finally being removed, a hero that's been pretty useless for a while in the game. A bunch of updates, but most importantly, also two important removed cards. We got Whirlwind Tempest, which just led to a very oppressive playstyle with Windfury, and Pogo Hopper is gone from the game from that point on and still hasn't seen returns until now, which obviously affects me very deeply. And then yeah, a bunch of more balance changes as per usual. Later that month, we get Zephrys added to the game, and November, we see Nefarian finally being removed from the game as well, which was a hero that is basically a ghoul. On top of, again, a whole lot of balance changes. This followed up by Madness at the Darkmoon Fair, a big standard expansion that will introduce a new hero, Silas Darkmoon, into the game, and also prizes or tickets or Darkmoon prizes. I don't know what you want to call them. You basically get to discover stuff every 4 turns. Not just that, we're also getting the old gods into Battlegrounds, which are Khotun, N'Zoth, and Yashiraj. We already have Yogg. Again, there is a rating reset here, and besides just the prizes, the new heroes, all that stuff, we're also getting a really big refresh for the first time when it comes to minions. They're adding in stuff like Acolyte of Khotun, Warden of Old, Arm of Empire, Kiraji Harbinger, Champion. So they're introducing the taunt comp meta into the game now and taking out stuff like Xeris, Crowd Favorite, and Righteous Protector. They also added in Elistra, which as most might remember, was a pain point in the meta and another very oppressive card that was quickly nerfed and then removed. That was December. We're now heading into 2021 with the first patch there being 19.4, adding the new heroes Greybow and Ticketus, also adding Soul Devourer, which is the new demon, and Ring Matron, and what has to make place for it, that is Floating Watcher, which has been an incredibly strong card for, you know, the entirety of Battlegrounds' existence. Basically getting rid of the cheesy referee Floating Watcher meta on lower tiers. Then mid-February, we are removing the Darkmoon prizes from the game, the first event, and they are getting rid of the stupid Khadgar token triple bullshit, where now the minions have to summon first and then it's gonna create triples instead of making triples while you are summoning stuff. Then one whole month later, the end of March, we get patch 20.0, where Overlord Starfang is added to the game together with Barnes Blacksmith, which was another very strong card quickly being nerfed or removed from the game. They also finally took out Pilot the Shredder. By the end of April, we get more new heroes, Death Speaker Blackthorn, Vol'jin, and Xyrella, but most importantly, again a new tribe added to the game, Filbors, which was just as broken as Elementals were upon release, while Dragons and Pirates were pretty good, but they weren't as broken quite as, you know, these were on release. So we get all those cards added to the game, most noteworthy Flat Tusk, which was a very good stick job that is now also gone from the game after seeing a nerf first. And then we are heading to June, patch 20.4, where we see more new heroes, Guff Rune Totem, and Mutinous the Devourer. We also see a new demon, which is Hex Rune Marauder, making power leveling really strong, and 4-on-4 seeing more play than ever before. They removed Siegebreaker to make place for this one. And the 1st of July, we're getting the Fire Festival coming to Battlegrounds, introducing new hero Kurtrus Ashfallen, and adding new minion Hamul to the game. They also brought back a bunch of old heroes, but reworked them. These heroes include Galakrond, Gallywix, Maiev, Illidan, Bran. All of them had pretty bad hero powers that were now reworked to be, you know, much better and are pretty much the same as they are right now. Last but not least, they decided to bring back Darkmoon prizes in 25% of the games, so spells are back, but they got changed a little bit. Later that month, we also got the new hero Gilwing into the game. Eventually, by the end of August, we're getting a patch where they're introducing an entirely new Battleground specific keyword, Avenge, which comes with a whole refresh again, a bunch of new cards such as Leapfrogger, Bird Buddy, Crocolisk, Doomsayer, Felbat, Mechanotank, Greasebot, Holy Mackerel, Omega Buster, Sephyn, Slinger, Taragossa and Promo Drake, Pyrospawn, Paggy, Tony, Nosy Looter. Basically every tribe got a whole new way to play the game, and those cards are still in the game at this moment. Dazzling Light spawned for elementals and Master Realities, Gem Splitter, we got Green Thump and Witchwing. So this was probably one of the bigger updates that we got when it comes to the minion pool. Of course, a lot of cards had to be removed for these. A quick rundown of the most important ones. Vulgar Homunculus, the only cell damaging card left in the game. Pack Leader, Imgang Boss, Hangry Dragon, Vermin Sensei, Hex Ruin again, Jungbot, Tuxfin as well, Kiraji Harbinger, Bolvor, Security Rover, Sneed's Old Shredder, Net Pagel, Goliath, Mal'Ganis, Faceless Tavengor, and then on 6 the boat was finally removed, and also Gore. And that's mostly it. But that's not all, we also got 2 more new heroes, which are Master Wen and Cariel. This was actually quickly followed up with a lot of buffs, some nerfs, but mostly the cards were a little bit underpowered. Then by the end of October we get a new event, which is for Diablo, a new hero that is gonna appear in every lobby, where every 4 turns you have to fight him. We also get a new hero Sneed and Cookie the Cook added to the game. In November they are introducing the armor system, a new way to balance the game to give weaker heroes more armor to hopefully give them on average a higher placement. And again a new hero, Tamsin Roam. By the end of this month Diablo is gone. They also introduced new heroes Scabs into the game, and Battlegrounds boards, which is a new cosmetic that you can unlock to, you know, have different looking boards. And then by the end of the year we mostly just see more balance changes. So that is all of 2021. Welcome to January 2022 now, where the new system buddies are introduced into the game, which basically every hero has a buddy that you can unlock which has a special ability. They're doing other experimental things like increasing the level to tier 5 by 2 gold to slow down the Hyrule meta that has existed before this. Obviously there are new heroes added as well, which are Brukan, Grektar, Vandar Stormpike, and Tevish Stormpike. Then throughout February we just see balance changes to most of the buddies, both buffs and nerfs. But of course you gotta throw in more new heroes, so we see Varden Downgrasp being introduced in the game together with Rokara and Onyxia. They're adding another new cosmetic, which is strikes, or finishers as they were originally called, which is an animation when you deal damage. And we also got Lobby Legends this year, which I almost forgot to mention, but the first one was being kicked off here in April 2nd. Then in March, obviously, new hero, Fallen, added to the game, and they introduced some more new minions into the game, which are Swamp Striker, Tad, and Baby Crush. On top of Friend of a Friend, which was a 6 drop that gives you more buddies, which only was in the game for a little bit, then was removed because it was way too broken with Bran. You could do some incredibly stupid things. On April, we have patch 23.0, which enters the year of the Hydra. For Battlegrounds, obviously, new hero, Ini Stormcoil, and then more balance changes. And then in May of 2022, patch 23.2 is gonna be another new tribe into the game called Naga. Ratings will be reset again. Buddies are also leaving Battlegrounds, so the system is now removed. And, you know, Naga brings a new keyword, Spellcraft, as well. And the new Naga hero, Queen Ashara, is added into the game. They also finally removed minions like Champion of Yasharaj, Deadly Spore, which was a staple on tier 5, Amalgadon, which was a staple on tier 6, defining the meta for a while, and they returned stuff like Nightmare Amalgam and Bristleback Knight. They immediately had to nerf Naga again because everything was pretty broken, as per usual with a new tribe release, but especially Stormscale Siren got a big nerf and then later was removed because that card was just stupid. Then by the end of that month we get new hero Ozumot into the game, and Bublet, which is a 1-drop that can pop. They also brought back Diablo for a limited time, so Diablo was gonna appear in a bunch of lobbies again. Then we just see more balance changes mid-June, and then by the end of June we have patch 23.6, talking mainly about Murder at Castle Nefria, the new expansion, but they brought back Dorkman prizes again, which will appear in 25% of games. And another new hero, Lady Vash. But most importantly, we're getting another really big refresh to shake up the game, including cards like Tavern Tipper, Silverback Patriarch, Cookie Chemist, Irel, Ultramedes, Wargear, Tunnel Blaster, and Uther Lightbringer. They also brought back Shifter Zeris. By the end of July, we get a new cosmetic, which is emotes, so you can now change emotes around if you want. And new hero, Heist Baron Togwaggle, on top of a bunch more minion updates. In August, we see more balance changes, most noteworthy to Lich Bazial, who now takes 4 damage to gain 2 gold, while previously you would take 2 damage and get a coin in hand. They're also announcing Season 2, so seasons are now going to be officially a thing into Battlegrounds. I mean, we already had Season 1, this was the first time that we're moving into another one, which is bringing a reset and another big change. This kicks in the Battlegrounds track, where you can now pay for a bunch of cosmetics that you can unlock along the way. And also this is where perks are now payable. So now if you want to get those 2 extra heroes, you have to start paying with real money instead of just using your in-game gold. They're also introducing quests. So quest is the new mechanic, followed up by Darkmoon prizes and Diablo and buddies. Quests are discovered on turn 4 and is a new way to win the game. They're adding some new heroes with this as well, which are Murloc, Holmes, and Denethrius. But they're also reworking the game quite a bit. We're getting new demons like Picky Eater and Mindmuck, new dragons like Netherdrake, Ember Guardian. We also see Legion Overseer, First Mate Pip, Elise, Randall, Turtle and Blue Shell, and the main way of scaling, Theotar. For that, of course, you have to remove a bunch of minions like Cookie Chemist, Bublet, Silverback Patriarch, Shifter's Arrow, so a bunch of cards that they added previously. And they brought back Toxfin as a way to find poison. This update was also very controversial because it introduced runestones in the game, which is an in-game currency, and a bunch of other things. So this was definitely a heated area in Battlegrounds, or just in Hearthstone in general, I should say. But in September, more balance changes. By the end of September, we get a new legendary Battlegrounds board cosmetic. October is a pretty sad month. We get like 4 balance changes. Then in November, we are getting new hero again, the Jailer, on top of some updated hero powers, some new quests being added into the game and reworked, but also a bunch of new minions such as Dozy Whelp, Patient Scout, Bristlemane, Scrapsmith, Faceless Disciple, Ball of Minions, Whitemane, Fort to enable Taunt Comp, and they're introducing a new cosmetic called the Battle Bash, which is a way to unlock more skins with a hammer. By the end of November, we have patch 25.0, which is introducing March of the Lich King, which will be releasing December 6th, so a new class into the game. With that, we're getting a new Battlegrounds hero called Enhanso Mikano, and 1 new quest reward. So December 2022 happens, where first of all, Toxfin gets moved from tier 4 to 6. They also took out cards like Mikano Tank and Whitemane, reintroducing cards like Mithrax, Mikano Egg, and Seafood Slinger. And then we have January of 2023, the current year, and the current month that I'm making this video, where we are kicking off Battlegrounds Season 3 patch 25.2, mainly bringing a new Battlegrounds track, new perks, also the new hero Putricide, together with, of course, the new big tribe Undead, mainly focusing on Reborn, so we get all of those new cards added into the game. Important to note, later today we're getting nerfs as well for this tribe, so, you know, this tribe is getting nerfed. And that is the entire history from its inception of Battlegrounds into Hearthstone as a game up until this point. This is a lot of information. I tried to condense it because if I go over every balance change and added and removed card, we could be here for multiple hours on end. So I might have skipped things. If there's important stuff that I did miss, leave it down below. Now, I've been playing this game since release up until this point. I mean, it was kind of my job, you know, I make a living doing this. And it seems like things definitely drastically changed. The game is playing completely different than how it used to, where you just big things, stats matter. Then they introduced Lobby Legends. This year, Lobby Legends is kind of tuned down a lot. There's way less tournaments happening. They're focusing a lot more on cosmetics and the Battlegrounds track. I think you could see in me going over the patches how things evolved yourself. But let me know what you thought of the evolution of Battlegrounds over the years, where you think it's heading, and what you expect the future to look like. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.